To discuss this is CEO of Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Mark Dubowitz. Thank you, Mark, for joining us this morning. So, big picture, one of the things that always strikes me when we have these prisoner exchanges between Hamas and Israel is the disparity between, Israel's getting 4 back and Hamas is getting 180 to 200 back. And what does that tell us, that disparity?
You're absolutely right, Charlie. And it's not only just the disparity in numbers, but it's the disparity in who they're actually getting. So, I mean, you've got, these innocent young women who were taken from their beds on their kibbutzim or from a music festival for peace. In exchange, Palestinian terrorists are being released. These are people with blood on their hands who've gone through the court process, who've been convicted of terrorist offenses, been serving in jail, getting three meals a day. And while these poor women were languishing in these terror tunnels and not even being visited by the International Red Cross.
So for all of us watching, we're glad to have these 4 women back. Obviously, it's a heavy price to pay to send those other people back. But it's sort of hard for us to know exactly who the winner is in the PR game on the ground. Who is the winner in terms of PR on the ground with this?
Yeah, it is hard to know. I mean, I think the most important thing is the soul of Israel. I think from the public relations perspective, I mean, you've got these pro-Hamas demonstrations around the world that we've seen since October 7th. I think the majority of Americans understand who's the winner in all of this, and that is our democratic ally, Israel. And I think Israelis themselves have been fighting a brutal war since October 7th, and they needed to get their hostages back, and they've paid a terrible price. They will be paying a terrible price for the release of these hostages, but Israel doesn't survive as a country if they're not getting these young people back from the clutches of these Hamas monsters.
So what's will be the next phase of this ceasefire deal?
Well, Hamas is already in violation of the agreement because they were supposed to also release a young civilian woman, which they haven't done. They were supposed to give a full list of the remaining hostages, and so we'll have to see whether they're going to comply. Israel is not going to give up control of what's called the Netzarim corridor, which bisects Gaza, dividing it between north and south, where the IDF currently has troops. So they're going to close that until Hamas complies. If all of the hostages are released in the first phase, we'll move to a second phase. And in the second phase, will be further IDF troop withdrawals in exchange for Israeli males who are being held hostage. And if there's the third phase and all the hostages go back, then there'll be a complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli troops, and and hopefully Gaza reconstruction. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is, will Hamas retain governance of Gaza, and will it be able to do what it's promised to do over and over again, which is another October 7th?